All right, hello and welcome. If you're heading into a career as an electromedicine technician, you're going to be surrounded by some seriously advanced tools. But you know what? Today, we're talking about the most important one, the one that's the foundation for everything else you'll do, and that's the medical equipment inventory. So let's jump right in.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dig into why this inventory is so important. It's really the foundation of your job. Then we'll figure out what actually goes into it, what information you need to grab for every piece of gear, and of course, how to keep it all up to date. And we'll wrap it by showing you how this thing goes from being just a list to being your #1 most powerful tool out in the field.
Okay, so let's get right to it. First things first, why should you even care about this?
To really get why this is a big deal, you have to think about the scale of a hospital. Just try to picture it. A hospital has thousands, literally thousands, of life-saving devices. So how on earth do you manage all of that? How do you keep track of every single one? How do you know which machine needs maintenance, like right now? Or where do you even find it when there's an emergency? It's a huge challenge.
Well, the answer to all those questions is a really solid, well-managed inventory. And this image here, it shows it perfectly. Think of the inventory as the main link in a chain. It connects everything: planning, doing maintenance, patient safety, even the budget. Seriously, pretty much everything you'll do as a technician ties back to this one central record.
So let's be clear, what is an inventory? At its heart, it's just a detailed list of all the equipment. But, and this is the most important part, it is not a document you create once and then forget about. You have to think of it like a living, breathing thing. If you don't keep it updated constantly, it's basically useless. Okay, so now we know what an inventory is. But like we said, a hospital has tons of stuff. Everything from a simple stethoscope to a giant MRI machine. That brings up a really important question. Do we actually need to track every single thing?
And the short answer is no way. That would be impossible. It's just not practical. So, how do we decide? It all comes down to one key idea: risk. We have to focus our time and our energy on the equipment that's the most critical, the stuff that could cause the most harm to patients or staff if it suddenly failed.
And this slide gives you a perfect example. You've got your high-risk devices, right? Things like ventilators or defibrillators. If one of those fails, it's a disaster. So they are always on the inventory. But then you have lower-risk items like stethoscopes or thermometers. They're important, sure, but they're often left out of the main inventory. The decision always comes back to, what does the device do, what kind of maintenance does it need, and what's the potential harm to a patient if it stops working?
All right, so we figured out what goes on the list. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. For each and every one of those high-risk devices, what information do you actually need to write down to, do your job?
This table here, this is basically your world as a technician. Think about it. You need that unique ID number so you can pull up the entire history of a device. You have to know its physical location, otherwise how are you going to find it for a repair? You need the manufacturer, the model, the serial number. That's how you order the right spare parts or find the right service manual. And you definitely need to know who's supposed to fix it. Is it your department or is it covered by an outside company? Every single piece of information here is designed to help you work smarter and faster. Now, about that unique ID number, there are a few ways to do it. You could just go sequentially, 1, 2, 3. It's simple, but that number doesn't tell you anything about the device. A coded system is a bit smarter. It can actually have information like the device type built right into the code. But really today, it's all about barcodes. They're just so fast and accurate, and they link straight into the software you'll be using all the time, which is called a CMMS, a computerized maintenance management system. Just think of the CMMS as the computer brain that stores and manages all this inventory data. Okay, so remember how I said the inventory is a living thing? Well, that's because managing it isn't something you do just once. It's a constant cycle that has 3 main stages. So, step 1 is the big one, the initial data collection. This is where you literally go around the entire hospital and physically check every single device to build the first list. After that, it's all about step 2, continuous updates. A new machine comes in, you add it. An old one gets taken out of service, you remove it from the list. It's a daily thing. And then, step 3 is the annual audit. Once a year, you do a big review to make sure all the information is still 100% correct. It's kind of like a yearly checkup for your data. Okay, now for the really cool part. Once you've done all this work and you have an accurate, up-to-date inventory, what can you actually do with it? This is where that simple list transforms into your most powerful tool.
For starters, you can help forecast budgets. I mean, the inventory is almost like a crystal ball for the hospital's finances. Because you're tracking the age and the entire service history of every machine, you can predict with pretty good accuracy when a piece of equipment is getting old and is going to need to be replaced. This lets the managers plan for those big purchases years ahead of time.
It also helps you plan your own workshop. I mean, how do you know what kind of special tools or test equipment you need to have on hand? Simple. You look at the inventory. If you see you're responsible for, say, 50 infusion pumps all from the same brand, then you know you better have the right calibration tools for that specific pump. The inventory tells you exactly what you need to be ready for.
It's also a huge help for figuring out staffing. It's pretty logical, right? A hospital with 5,000 devices is going to need more technicians than a hospital with just 500. And if the inventory shows you have a ton of really complex equipment, like MRI or CT scanners, then the manager knows they need to hire technicians who have those very specific skills. It just takes all the guesswork out of building the right team.
You can even use the data to spot training needs. Just imagine you're looking through the service history and you see that one specific model of infusion pump keeps coming in for repair, and it's always for the same user error issue. The data in the inventory is telling you that the problem isn't the pump, it's that the staff, maybe the nurses, need better training on how to use it properly. See, you're not just fixing things, you're solving bigger problems.
And what about service contracts? This is a big one. Let's say a super complex MRI machine goes down. Is it your job to fix it, or is it still under a warranty or a service contract with the manufacturer? The inventory will have that answer right there. It tells you exactly who you need to call, and that can save you an incredible amount of time when things get stressful.
And this might be the most important one for your day-to-day job, planning for spare parts. If you know from the inventory that you have 10 of a certain type of patient monitor, you can make sure you always have the most common spare parts for that monitor in stock. This is huge. It can be the difference between fixing a critical device in an hour versus having it be out of service for weeks while you wait for a part to be delivered. It's the absolute key to being fast and effective.
So let's wrap this up with a question just for you. Picture this. It's your very first day on the job as a new technician. You get access to the hospital's inventory system. Based on everything we've talked about today, what is the very first thing you're going to look up and why? Think about that for a second. Your answer will really show you just how powerful this tool is going to be in your new career. Thanks so much for joining me.